guys, so my name's Steve. I live down on the south coast of England. Been in the south coast of Sussex all my life really, apart from a very short spell outside. I've started this blog really for the older person, I feel like, as we sort of get on in life. Things we've seen, things we've done, things we've experienced, people we've loved, people we've lost, people that have pushed us away, jobs we've detested, things that have taken a toll on our mental health, our physical health, etc. What it means to be older, and how each lap of the sun affects us. So I'm 65, born in 1960, so I'm one of the back end of the boomers. Dad was a lorry driver, bus driver, car driver, chauffeur, etc. He was a professional driver, damn good driver. Taught me when I was 14. And Mum did all sorts of jobs. I've got a sister, she's a couple of years younger than me, 18 months. Mum did all sorts of jobs throughout the years, working as a PA, working as a lab technician, all sorts of things, working in driving school, working for British Airways. They split up when I was a kid. My youngest memory, or my oldest memory, depends on how you look at it, was really when my dad was around, and I was about 4.5, 5, I suppose. And not long after that, Dad was no longer around. Dad moved away. I'm not going to go into reasons why on this channel. But the one thing my dad did do was stay around and stay present. He was never more than about 3 miles from me. Me and my sister saw him every weekend. He was old school, born in 1939, got blown up in a V1 bomb in South London, Doodlebug. But he was old school, South London. He liked old values. He never, ever, ever, ever raised his hand to me or my sister, ever. But we were all always mindful not to upset him, not to cross him, because he was a big guy, big hands, I mean big hands. And what we didn't appreciate was he was a gentle giant. He was just a big guy, and he was Dad, so what Dad said, Dad meant. What Dad told us to do, we did. And he taught me a lot about values and the like, and never, ever, ever once raised his voice or his hand to either me or my sister, or my mother, obviously. Well, it's not obvious, but he just wasn't that sort of guy. But he could look after himself, and I witnessed that a couple of times. He wasn't someone for someone to dick around with. But he never, ever, ever, ever caused any problems at home. So anyway, they split up. We went different ways. I lived with my mum for most of my life, me and my sister, and then about 13 years old, I suppose, I just decided one day I wanted to live with my dad and my stepmum. And she's lovely, my stepmum. She's still one of my closest friends and closest people, family people now, even though she's 85 today. So one day when I was about 13, I just said, I want to go and live with Dad. And obviously my mum was upset about it, but the first thing she did was call my dad and arrange it. So between them, they worked it out, and I went and lived with him for, I'm guessing, about 2 years, something like that. And then a few things changed in my mum's life, and for some reason I wanted to move back. I still don't know why, because I was really happy at my dad's, really happy. So yeah, so I've done a lot of things in life. My dad, I wanted to teach. My dad told me to get a proper job, get a trade, and he never really completed school or anything like that. And so with his encouragement, I applied for an apprenticeship at a Ford main dealer as a mechanic, and I was successful. So I became a motor mechanic. I served a 4-year apprenticeship, and then I went on to working on trucks, and then I went on to have my own garage for a few years, but a divorce took toll on that, so a crappy marriage, and that called the end of that. And then I had an injury. I had a back injury. I got stuck under a truck. The truck collapsed on a 4-post lift, and I was sitting under the truck on a box trying to put a gearbox back into the truck as the lift was going up and down, up and down. There was a 4-post lift in the front left corner. There was a pulley with the cable around it, and the pin in the middle of the pulley, the axle pin, because we were going up and down, it worked its way out, and the whole thing collapsed in that corner, popped my back. So I was out of work for a while, and I wasn't very old at the time. So it was suggested to me that I look at something else, and I'd always enjoyed electronics, so I was suggested that I go and do an electronics course, electronics servicing. So I signed up for that, and I got it. I got on the course, and 10 months later I came away with distinctions in electronic servicing and software and a whole bunch of other things, and I moved into electronic servicing, and then ultimately I moved into applications and in sales and became sales director. And I've been in electronics since 1986 when I started training, 1987 when I actually got my first job in electronics, and that's paid my mortgages. Paid the first mortgage off completely, and now it's paying off my second mortgage as I'm divorced and I've had to get another mortgage. So I'm still in electronics now, but the background that I got as a mechanic has served me incredibly well. Just the way of the mindset, the practical mindset of solving problems with cars, fixing things, and just the approach I take to things, very, very practical. My dad was really absolutely spot on. I wouldn't have made it as a teacher anyway. I've got ASD and ADHD. ASD is autistic spectrum disorder, and ADHD, well, everyone knows what that is because it's the latest fashion. So I've got those, and I wouldn't have been able to tolerate being a teacher. I wouldn't have lasted. So my dad, as a relatively simple, intellectually simple guy, I'm not doing him a disservice here. He didn't complete school. His idea of maths was, as long as you can add up your pay packet at the end of the week, that's all that matters. And that was his outlook on maths, because he just didn't fundamentally understand it or see the benefit in it. But with that, he gave me the advice to get a trade, and it was one of the best pieces of advice I ever got. So if anybody asks me what I do, I tell them I work in electronics, but I very proudly tell them, you know what, I actually trained as a motor mechanic. I left school, got an apprenticeship, Ford main dealer, trained as a motor mechanic. So I am a motor mechanic through and through. I just happen to work in electronics and have done for the last 39 years. And the last 22 years, currently in October, the last 22 years have been with my own business. I started my own business in 2003. I sell specialist equipment for making cable assemblies. This is electrical cables, like your Ethernet cables and all that sort of stuff, and testing them to make sure they've been made properly and they're robust. And my cables go into things like cruise missiles, doorbells. They're from one extreme to the other. But for the last 22 years, I've worked for myself, and I still do. So that's me. What am I doing here, apart from rambling? Is I thought I've got some good friends, and one of my best friends is actually younger than one of my sons. I've got a son who will be 42 in October, and one of my closest friends will be 42 in November. So he's younger than my son, but we are very close, very good friends, very supportive, both of us. And we both have a similar mindset to things, and we both have ASD and we both have ADHD, although neither of us were aware of it at the time when we became friends. But when you look out there at what's around to, just document life for the older person, there's not a huge amount. I mean, there's some of the bigger channels and things, but I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy who did really badly at school, very badly at school. I didn't like school at all. I went on to get a trade, a full trade, apprentice to trade. I went on to run a business. I went on to have 2 families, actually, as it happens, with 4 wonderful sons, and now the subsequent grandchildren. And to work for myself, to run my own business. I sit in meetings with people that have PhDs in electrical engineering and electronics, systems engineering, but they're doctors, they've got PhDs. And I sit in meetings and talk to them on a level. In a lot of cases, I talk to them in such a way that I'm instructing them, I'm teaching them, because it's application specific and it's product specific knowledge. So I'm actually imparting my knowledge to people that have got PhDs. And don't get me wrong, I have a huge respect for people with academic qualifications, the meaningful academic qualifications, ones that actually do something. I've got a huge respect for people like that have done the work and acquired that knowledge and recognition. But fundamentally, I'm just a guy. I've worked in 43 different countries around the world over the years, but I'm just a guy. And I thought maybe I'll just share this. Last, 10, 15 years, I've got the last 15 trips around the sun, as I like to view it, and what I've experienced, what I'm experiencing, what I'm anticipating coming up, and how things have affected me. So that's me, Steve, just an ordinary bloke, but I thought I'd document this. If nobody's really interested, then that's just life. I'm doing it really for me. I'm not doing it for other people. I'm not doing it for the cred. I'm not doing it for the likes or anything like that. I'm just doing it for me. I'm just documenting how my life has been, and how my life is going, how it's turned out. And I hope that my sons will get something from this, and I hope that my grandchildren will get something from this. That's really, I guess, all I want from it. Is for my kids to understand me. There will be things that I will not talk about on here, and 2 of those will be my ex-wives, because I'm not that sort of person. So my kids will have to ask me directly if they've got questions. But other than that, I've done some good things, I've done some bad things. I've been nicked in the past, and that caused me grief for 10 years. Still does to some degree. And I'm just documenting, really. So that's me. I'm Steve. Hopefully you found it interesting. Hopefully what's coming up will be much more interesting than just me. And I'll catch you later.